So, you know, last time I brought to you the Kevin Costner and Christine Baumgartner code, and they keep doing this code, right? Right? Or they keep putting out the story with all these new details all the time. And we covered that in the last video, but there is a reason why, another one, and I'm going to show you. And except those days should be shortened. The full code equals, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved. But for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. 5779. And then look what I found. So September 9, 2023, resurrection, 1,000 year Sabbath. But it just so happens that 1,000 year Sabbath equals 1278. Okay, so, and it's 1278 days from 3/11/20. This is amazing. So 3/11, no wonder why I'd been seeing that date a couple of years leading up to the Demic Pan. They know this very well. They know all of this so well. Up to 9/9/2023. So if you include the end date in the calculation, that is 1278. So it tells us resurrection, 1,000 year Sabbath. But 1,000 year Sabbath also equals 1278 day period from 3/11/20 to 9/9/2023. Okay. And then it also gives us a date, September 9, 2023. Amazing. 5779. That equals part of their name. So, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. So, and except those days should be shortened, code, that part of the code is 2027. I know it well because I've been witnessing them code this, and then Biden coded this part, the other part of it. So anyway, but Biden was coding the other part of it, the 2156, which equals, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. And then now we have those two, and except those days be shortened part of the code. The entire code equals 5779. And except those days should be shortened, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Equals 5779. So resurrection, 1278, and then September 9, 2023, 1278 in Gematria equals 1,000 year Sabbath, and it is 1278 from the 3/11/20 beginning of tribulation. All right, so God's seed skip the second half of Great Tribulation, September 9, year 2023. So that is the official first day of the supposed second half of the Great Tribulation, 5779. So, but this is really, really fascinating. So if you take out, we learn when we find the equivalent. So what is God's seed? All right, so, and except those days should be shortened, there should no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days be shortened, 5779, okay? So, and then that equaled the code I just showed you, the amazing code that God's seed is going to skip the second part. So God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation, September 9, year 2023. That confirms, unless those days were shortened, no flesh would be saved, right? So God's seed skipped the second half of the Great Tribulation. So what is God's seed skip the second half of Great Tribulation? Equals 1534. It equals divine gene of Eve. So there's a gene that God's people retain or keep because they haven't taken the mark, which is the adrenochrome blood of children. God's seed. Oh, and this will tell us also that it's believing in Jesus that makes us God's seed. God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation. That code is 5779. It includes the date. And then we can see that that is the equivalent for the verse. So it includes the date September 9. And then it tells us that God's seed is going to skip the second half of the Great Tribulation. That equals divine gene Eve. All right. God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation. 1534 equals divine gene Eve. It's gene, not seed. I had gotten that wrong. I will correct. It's right here, 1534. All right, so anyone who has divine gene Eve will skip the second half. God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation. And then divine gene Eve. When we add those two together, we get even more revelation. So if we take two of those codes, we get Revelation. 1534 plus 1534 equals 3068. Divine gene Eve, 1534, and then that was equal to God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation, and then okay, to review, the reason why we're using this code, and except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake, those days shall be shortened. Christine Baumgartner and Kevin Costner story was encoding that because half of that verse equals 2027, which is the sum of both of their names. Now, the equal to that verse, and except those days should be shortened, blah, 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 equals 5779, equals God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation and includes the date September 9, year 2023, which is amazing because it's the 1278th day after what the Gematria code says was the beginning of the first 42 months. And so Christine Baumgartner, Kevin Costner equals 2027, which equals, and except those days should be shortened. It's clear that they're coding this verse because look what it equals. September 9, year 2023. God's seed skipped the second half of tribulation, 5779. So they're separated. So separate and battle equals September 9th. And that's another reason why you will know that this is the story that they're actually coding. We are going to take part of the code out of the 577 shortened days code, the complete verse. All right, God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation equals divine gene Eve. We're going to add those together to get new revelation equals 3068. And this is going to blow you away. So who is God's seed? Divine gene Eve. That's going to skip the second half of Revelation. And it equals 3068. All Christians that hope on Jesus are children of kingdom of heaven. Simply amazing. So the divine seed of Eve. Remember, Revelation, or the first book of the Bible, Genesis 3:5, it says that her seed will bruise his heel, or you know what I mean. And so that's quite interesting now, isn't it? So we got this when we were decoding the unless those days have been cut short, no flesh should be saved code. And so here, I need to find the code. Hold on. Oh, here we go. Okay, God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation, September 9, 2023, 5779. All right, so this matches the, unless those days to be shortened, no flesh should be saved, but for the elect's sake, those days will be shortened. Okay, so how did we get here? So God's seed skip the second half of tribulation right here. Goes like this. That equals 1534. Also equaling 1534 is, so divine gene Eve. So God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation. We're going to add divine gene Eve to that, okay? Because it's going to give us new revelation. Divine gene Eve. All right. 3068. So who is God's seed, divine gene Eve, that skips the second half of Great Tribulation? Who exactly is that? It is all Christians that hope on Jesus, children of kingdom of heaven. 3038. That is who the divine gene seed is. So I'm going to put God's seed skip the second half of Great Tribulation, divine gene Eve. 3068. Okay, so 1534 plus 1534 is 3068. Plus 3068 equals 6136. Gematria is extremely revealing that way, the doubling of it over and over again. The day of the harvest changed in a blink of an eye, September 9, 2023, 6136. Simply amazing. So God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation, divine gene Eve. And that equals all Christians that hope on Jesus, children of the kingdom of heaven, equals 6136. That's 1534 times 4, basically. They all define each other. And now within that, we see the revelation of the day of the harvest and being changed in the blink of an eye, September 9, 2023. So there's actually people denying the Great Tribulation first half could have started on 3/11/20, the date of the Demic Pan, even though I showed them the very symmetrical chart of all of the dates that they themselves did that totally delineates it. And then when you look up the gematria of the date, it tells you that it is. So there's not much I can do for those people. But anyway, let's look at the gematria again to prove that we have already gone through the first half. I've been in severe tribulation, have you? So much to the point I could barely hang on. Like, I don't know how I'm going to make it through each day. I would actually call that a tribulation. And I know that there's a lot of people just like me. There's a lot of things that happened in this world. People are hard on money. People's lives have been devastated by devoke. People are sick with devoke. So anyway, March 11 is the beginning of the Great Tribulation, 2241, equals devoke 19 Cerev Demikpan, 2241. When was that? March 11 is the beginning of the Great Tribulation, equals devoke 19 Cerev Demikpan. It's very clear. It's the beginning of the Great Tribulation, the first half. There's people saying no with no proof, but here I am showing you proof with gematria proof and proof on my timeline. So, absolute center of Great Tribulation, the 42 months of the Great Tribulation, 9th day, 9th month, 2023, 8964. So that code says it's the center, absolute center, the first 42 months, and it gives you the date, 9th day, 9th month, 2023. 8964. You can't just say that it's not and not give any proof just because you know you're the only one that knows. God didn't want it to be this way, and that's why he provided proof for us. 8964. I've been in Great Tribulation. I don't know how it can get any worse. Devoke 19 Cerev Demikpan, March 11 is the beginning of the Great Tribulation, equals 4482. And then if you double that, then it equals the code that we just saw. So it's going to clarify in a second. Unlocked code, 7th seal broken. The 7th trumpet blown is on. And then that equals 4482. When we add those two together, that's the code that we just saw. So now let's see. All right. Devok 19, Sarev Demikpan, March 11 is the beginning of the Great Tribulation. And then we're going to add the second part of that code, which basically gave the definition and the explanation and defined it. That's what Gematria does. The equal Gematria defines the other Gematria, is how it works. Okay, so both codes together, Devok 19 virus, Sarev Demikpan, March 11 is the beginning of the Great Tribulation. Unlocked code, 7th seal broken, the 7th trumpet blown is on, 8964. We're going to get a date decode with this one. And it's just simply amazing. This code 6136 is basically 1534 times 4. 1534 times 4. Ignore Siri, she's not working. 6136. So God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation, and then Divine Gene Eve. And then this equaled all Christians that hope on Jesus, children of Kingdom of Heaven, equaled 3068. Please ignore Siri. I'm sorry. Siri, stop. Okay. And then we're going to find September 9, 2023 in here again. Siri, stop. The day of the harvest changed in a blink of an eye, September 9, 2023, 6136. God's seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation, Divine Gene Eve, all Christians that hope on Jesus, children of the Kingdom of Heaven. If you don't remember how I got all of these, find out, but it decodes to September 9 again. Going back, and then not to mention the opening of the 7 seals, unseal, release the 7 angels with 7 bowls, 6136. Let's review this code, because when we double it, it compounds it and gives us new revelation. Devok 19 virus. Demikpan, March 11 is the beginning of the Great Tribulation, equals 4482. Equals unlocked code, 7th seal broken, the 7th trumpet blown is on, 4482. So when is it? So if we add those two together, we're going to find a revelation of when the 7th trumpet is blown, and that code is 8964. Okay, so 8964 equals absolute center of Great Tribulation, the 42 months of the Great Tribulation, 9th day, 9th month, 2023, 8964. Do you see how the compounding revelation explains itself and then reveals more? So 4482 times 2 is that number that we just saw. So Devok 19, virus, Demikpan, March 11 is the beginning of the Great Tribulation, 4482. And then if we add that to that other code, it equals absolute center of Great Tribulation, the 42 months of the Great Tribulation, 9th day, 9th month, 2023, 8964, which is basically that other number times 2. Very revealing stuff. Today we're looking at why they use Christine Baumgartner and Kevin Costner for their number 2027. It equals half of that for verse 5779. And except those days should be shortened, there should be no flesh saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. 5779. Okay, and so I'm just going to tell you it equals, crack the code, last time, end of Great Tribulation, September 9, year 2022, 5779. The end of the earth, tribulation canceled on midnight, September 9, 2023, 5779. Again, that equals the days would be shortened code, verse, I mean. And that's part of their name verse, okay, is declared. Skip the second half, Great Tribulation, September 9, year 2023, 5779. There's more. They're all extremely revealing, and they all include September 9, year 2023. Later on, I'm going to look and I'm going to see if I can find a code having to do with September 9 that has anything to do with Kevin and Christine, because it just seems that that number keeps coming up in the decodes. This one is just stunning. Resurrection, 1278, September 9, 2023. It's this 1278th day from the beginning of the tribulation on March 11. So you see it's 1278 days. So 3/11/2020 to 9/9/2023. So 1278 days. But what that verse means is incredibly astounding itself. And it has to do with 1,000 years. And I was completely baffled when I found it. I'm waiting for it to come. Okay, so resurrection and then 1278, which equals itself 1,000 year Sabbath. And then September 9, 2023, 5779. That equals the verse, those days be shortened, no flesh would be saved. God seed skipped the second half of Great Tribulation, September 9, year 2023, 5779. And that totally matches with the days were cut short for the sake of the elect, or no flesh would be saved, doesn't it? Simply, simply amazing. So no wonder they're using that code. Their name equals a portion of that entire scripture, and that is why they are using it. So I'm really crunched for time, guys. Everything looks like it's pointing to September 8, September 9, September 10. I really wanted to get out the strong delusion code, so I'm going to be working on that. It's September 4, 2023 today, and I'm just hoping and praying that we escape to the wilderness, just like the Gematria and the scripture said would happen on September 9, 2023. God bless you all. The mystery and the secret of what the strong delusion has been revealed, and I am working hard on getting you those codes. They are shocking. They are hard to swallow. Children have suffered, and it's extremely heartbreaking. God bless you. Love you guys, and I will talk to you shortly.